Hi, this is Tim of the 1916 Company. Welcome and thanks for logging on. If you love this watch, email me, Team Mosso at the1916company.com for purchase pricing and availability questions concerning this watch. So today we're discussing a late 2023 for 2024 launch in grade 5 titanium that was made in 500 pieces. This is the Longines Spirit Zulu Time chronometer GMT for Hodinkee. It's actually a mid-sized watch with a very long-winded name and a lot to recommend it. So it's not all that big. In titanium at 39 millimeters in diameter, I measure it 13.6 millimeters thick from lug tip to lug tip, just the case, 46.7 millimeters. And then we've got a solid end link on each end. So the total distance across the wrist here is 53.1 millimeters. And then it's got a bit of a weird spacing between the lugs that is described as 21, but I measured it at more like 20.5, so go figure. Now the watch is very light, being all titanium, and that's an agreeable quality given that it is on a full bracelet. It's not going to weigh you down. We'll throw it on my wrist, which is 16 centimeters in circumference, and it wears nicely. Now the end link to end link distance is quite broad, but of course the lug to lug is not, so you could wear this on a wrist of 14 centimeters circumference and up. You can see it's not an encumbrance on my 16 centimeter circumference wrist, and it will fit pretty easily beneath the cuff. So it's a good looking watch all around, and one that's going to please a broad array of wrist sizes. The bracelet's a good looking piece. You can see it has a conforming end link to mate it cleanly to the case, and then it tapers down towards the clasp. We have a medley of polish and satin, and you can see that although it is a machine-made watch, we have quite a bit of nuance here in the execution. Taking a look at the removable links, you can see that we have an array of them on both sides of the clasp. So you can see you've got quite a few removable links in there. And then you've got this system of divots drilled in, so you can change the anchoring point of the bracelet in the clasp by dismounting the spring bar. We have a little logo externally to remind you of the heritage of this model line, and then twin trigger release, so this clasp will not pop open until you want it to, and press both triggers to positively disengage. Sharp, powerful contours and character lines on this case, no doubt about that. It's got a satin finished side. It has a bevel that runs end to end across the lugs through the midcase. The ends are squared off. It's got a crown that features a combination of polish and media blast. It is a screw down crown, and as you can see on the reverse side, the watch is robustly water resistant down to 100 meters, so you can swim with it even though it is an aviation themed timepiece. Now we've got a bezel that is bidirectional in the GMT sense. So typically what you would do is you've got two independent time zones on the dial, a 24-hour hand and a 12-hour hand. Now these two things move at different speeds, and you can see that the 12-hour local time hand is what drives the date forward or backwards, including as you cross the international date line east or west. But if you were to set that 24-hour hand to Greenwich Mean Time, and by the way it does feature hacking seconds, then you would offset from Greenwich Mean Time to find the time at your destination airport if you were, for example, a pilot. After all, Zulu time, we are talking about universal time. So if you were looking at GMT plus, you would start turning in a counterclockwise direction to see what the time is at your destination. If you're talking about GMT minus, then you turn in a clockwise direction. It's that simple. You can see the knurling is sharp and polished and easy to feel, easy to operate with hands that may be gloved. We have a matte black dial that's anti-reflective, and you can see simple hands, simple designs. I particularly like the index at the end of the seconds hand, which is a counterweighted lancet style. Many of these elements drawn from Longines' own past, as well as the history of mid-century GMT watches. Taking a look at the dial, you can see that it's got sort of an off-white coloration to the lume. So yes, I will use the F word, photina. We've also got a little bit of a corresponding sort of off-white cream coloration to some of the dial features, including the date disc. If you look outboard, you can see that we have little serrations and a polished chaptering for the individual indices outboard of the numerals. The chaptering itself is quite handsome, and then beyond that you can see the calibration for seconds and fractions of seconds. We have applique Arabic numerals, and we'll do a lume shot so you can see how all this glows at night. You can see all four hands on the dial are luminescent, which I appreciate. Turn it all over. Hodinkee special editions are usually quite good, and this is one of their good ones. You could see that individual numbering as of the 500 pieces, anti-magnetic, primarily due to the presence of a silicon hairspring, and what's inside is a Longines version of an ETA. So here we've got a movement that Longines calls the L3.802.1.59.6. It's based on the ETA A31.411, automatic winding, 3-day power reserve, stop seconds, 12 and 24-hour dual time zone. We have a silicon hairspring for anti-magnetic resistance. It pivots on 21 joules and does 5 position adjusted COSC certified Swiss chronometer movement with a 25,200 vibration per hour beat rate. So there is lots to love from a technical standpoint. If you love this watch, reach out to Team Mosso at the 1916company.com for purchase and pricing details.